Right, last one in Ben's boards, and this one's got issues. First of all, it's a Maygay. It's a Maygay M1A. Something not quite right with this one. Every time you turn it on, you can smell burn. I've tracked that down, but I'll show you a couple of things. If I turn it on, first of all, you hear in a minute, it sounds terrible. The reels just don't sound like they're running right. And also, this thing here is screaming hot. It only takes it takes literally a few seconds and then it is absolutely screaming hot. And this thing here's U41, this is heating up as well. Now, it's not to do with my meter bypass because there shouldn't be anything activated there. Remember I said in an earlier video that if this actually tried to drive meters with this bypass on the issue, there shouldn't be anything active. We're in door open mode. So I think that this is U40 here is dead because it's pulling a hell of a load from somewhere. Yeah, that's raging hot already. Just check a couple of things here. Let's see. Yeah, and that's not right either. I've got nearly 12 volt pulling through pin 2 of this U40, U41. There's something way wrong here. Yeah, something way wrong there. I've got 12 volt passing right through this U41. And pin 2 unfortunately is connected to this sound chip here. So I think that, just turn this off. I think this U41 is dead. And unfortunately I think that this is dead. Because there's no way the 12 volt should be passing straight through here and going from the drive side, from the meter plug to the CPU side, which is driven by U41, the input side. So if that 12 volt's getting down to these pins here, I measured a couple other pins, and all the input side's 12 volt. That means 12 volts getting backfed into here, and that is not good. That'll cause a bit of damage. So the first step here, I think, is to, well, this will have to come off. Small chance it might have survived. I don't think so though. It actually looks visible like it's been getting hot. I'm going to cut this right out of the board. I'll replace it in a minute, but I'm going to cut it right out of the board and check something.
And that's what I'm in the process of.
Right, so change that U41. We've no longer got the 12 volt going across. I figured out what it's doing.
I have everything stored. I dumped every file off of the hard drive before.
Watch the alpha display.
Because I knew eventually I was going to have to change the hard drive. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just kind of going over this thing, cleaning it up, checking out some solder joints, making sure everything's still looking great.
You can just see it there on that reel there. It's running at half speed.
Move forward with my repair.
Watch it when it goes through the tract. It's too slow.
While I had the opportunity, some people
it's running at half speed, but
and this is the 16550A.
Go
made
to
in the USA.
here.
And I had two of them hooked together.
Can you see that? I've got 8 megahertz there, so it's nothing to do with crystal, it's nothing to do with timing. What I have found is if I go to 8, 9, 10 here, that's the M ready signal. And that's part of the M ready signal. I think it's pin 9, I believe, is the M ready signal itself.
drive, a modern hard drive,
Yeah.
with this adapter.
The M-Ready signal looks like absolute garbage.
Allows you to plug IDE in.
Let me see how slow that alpha's running up there.
This thing doesn't work with this. It won't recognize anything. So
I think something wrong with the M-Ready signal.
Some of these things.
And that would kind of make sense, because when the CPU receives an M-Ready signal, it pauses for a second to allow other things to happen on the board, then it resumes. It's also, if M-Ready's being affected, it's also going to affect the IRQs for this thing. Which again, if the CPU is getting IRQs that it shouldn't be, it will slow down because we try to deal with them first. Right, so
This will plug right into my original harness thing.
maybe a bit tricky to do, maybe. If you see this circuit down here, pin 9 jumping about all over the place, so I am thinking
Unfortunately, those hard drives, I just can't use them because I can't use an adapter.
either U24 or U29.
It's just for
I'm going to try replacing this U29 because that's a counter chip. And I looked at the signal
Okay, and we are all back together. Except for the top.
coming
Yeah, I kinda
into
got
pin 1 of U30 as well, and it's a total mess as well. So I am looking at U29 here. I'm going to try changing that out.
and
Right, so no change. Change U29, it's still the same.
then we'll check out all of our sounds and everything and make sure this thing. Remember this.
You can tell by the error flashing up there, the error flashing too slow.
And it seems to be absolutely solid right now. So I don't really know what's going on there.
So
But I tell you what I did do is I did.
the signal coming from the M-Ready pin 9, sorry, over here.
Bad cat
A U24 still the same, but
making waves on the power rails that can cause.
before that count signal for U29 gets down to U30, it comes up to U6 and it goes into pin 13, jumps around a little bit, but this is a different chip,
But this thing
it's
looks
more consistent. Here's the output from this pin here.
Let me
Yeah,
go ahead,
yeah.
replace that 02, replace those capacitors, and we'll be back.
Here's pin 12.
Okay.
Just looks a little bit weird.
The other board, that 02 on this board down here.
Then I noticed the U6 and U31 have been replaced before. So I think what I'm going to do, I think what we need to do now is reflow the solder on 31, replace this U6, maybe this U10 as well. And these 3 chips are in the timing chain for M-Ready.
It's looking good.
I'm positive it's the M-Ready signal that's causing the problem. The board is running too slow. And the only way that can happen is if you're getting too many interrupts or M-Ready's firing too often. Because the board's having to pause what it's doing to serve those signals and then goes back to what it's doing, which would cause it to slow down. It doesn't slow down by much, but it's slowing down enough to be noticeable, and it would be a pain in the backside when you try to play the game. Right. Right, so I took these 2 off and I found a little bit of corrosion under this U10. I don't think it's causing the issue, but I cleaned it up anyway. So replace this. I'm going to replace this. Replace U30 because it's a rubbish mate. Those Philips ones always go bad. And I'll replace these 2 as well because they're in the time machine. Right.
It's just interference with my.
Now I'll put this replacement U10 in a socket because 1, it's not a new part. New parts are expensive right now, and 2, it's a high failure rate anyway. You replace a lot of these back in the day. I think I've replaced quite a few on a machine I had a while back. I've changed U30 as well. I haven't changed
Going crazy.
Focus. Haven't changed U21 or 34 because they're the original parts and focus. Okay. And the good make ST parts. This U30 here was a Philips part, so I changed that out. So we'll see. I don't know. I've had bad luck with Philips parts. Focus is a bit flaky here. Hold on.
No, if I
That's
rack
better.
these,
Go a wee bit further
it
back.
just is always FF.
Right, I think it's, to be honest, it's because...
This to
That's
5
better.
volts.
Because the flash was on in daylight. That doesn't help.
No,
Yeah.
I'm attaching 5 volts to the shield. It works right.
So,
This is odd.
that's a more modern version of it, but it's a good ST part. And that is a
If
Synetics
I rock these things now,
574
like I can do.
HC154. So we'll see how we got on.
Oh, let's do.
If it isn't this, we're looking at things like the CPU. And that looks better.
5.
It's flashing faster. Yeah, fixed! Thank God for that. I thought I was going to have to take a 40-pin CPU off.
85.
Now this would be the kicker. Look at, where do we see this?
95.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to look. Look how much faster that is.
There we go. And let's clear it back to zeros. Yeah, so it's just a thing with the flute.
See?
This likes to be held. You put 5 volts.
That's how it's supposed to look.
And it works.
So bad U10 or bad U30, you decide. I'm more inclined to think U10 because when I looked at it on the scope, it wasn't pulling low enough.
That's for sure.
On a 74 HC154, it's active low, so the output pins are low when they're pulsed. And you see at the scope, sometimes they're at 3 volts, sometimes they're going right down to 0 volts, sometimes they weren't activating at all, and that would certainly cause a problem with timing.
It all still works.
It wouldn't affect the CPU operation. CPU was running fine, it was pulsing the watchdog fine, but what it would do
Good.
is it would delay things like M-ready and interrupts from happening, which would absolutely give you that fault.
Coins.
Let's get in test. Yeah, it's much faster now. That's how it's supposed to look.
What's going on here?
We got garnage.
Huh, this isn't good. This doesn't seem to be working.
Still a wee bit bouncy. I might be looking at... These could do it, could be getting changed I think, but it's running at the correct speed.
244s for the inputs. Well, I have to look into that. After some investigation, I have found out that this thing is broke. There's no continuity.
Let's...
I don't know what happened.
Next thing to do is to get it into test mode. Well, we need to find a new one of these, obviously.
Try grabbing a different one.
This is staying nice and cold.
This one is not broke.
Let's get it in test mode and test payouts and coin in. We know the rails work. Lamps should be working.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's definitely running right speed. Don't just stand there, hit the goddamn button. I forgot.
Alright, that's good.
Hold on a minute. Let's see if this comes back.
That's all controls working.
This is a wee Easter egg that the developers put in. And I don't think you'd appreciate it being like a kiddies club or whatever, so hold on. Let's see if it comes back.
It would have been goofy already. So yeah, that is totally... That was this guy right here.
Not yet.
Oh no, this is a 191. I was
Getting a good wee soak test anyway, isn't it?
These are 191s on the
Let's see if this reappears.
So it's this guy.
It's definitely an Easter egg put in by the developer.
If I pull it around right there.
I'm not sure if I caught it on camera.
There you have it.
Give it a minute.
All right, now we're going to reset the timer.
Hold on,
and let
hold
this thing
on,
go
hold
for
on.
Another 3 hours, about 2 hours maybe.
Yeah, there's a few Easter eggs there. There's a few naughty messages there in this alpha message when it's in feature mode. By the way, this is a quick message for YouTube. The noise in the background is YouTube. I'm watching repair videos while I'm doing a repair video, so well. Hey ho. There it is there. Don't just stand there at the goddamn button. Yeah. Your 6-year-old's playing that in an arcade and it says that to him, that would be nice. Mind you, back in the day Gladiators was out, I don't think 6-year-olds were allowed in arcades anymore. But anyway, let's get back to it. Right, so hold the bus. The board is working, but I still wasn't entirely happy with it. It still just doesn't seem like it's going at the right speed. It's like I don't know, just it's better than what it was, but it just not right. You could tell by listening to the videos it's not right. So the schematics are sideways, and I've got it on my lap here. If you can read sideways. I put the old one of these back in. There was definitely faulty. There was definitely a problem with this, but just something that just wasn't quite right, and it's to do with the interrupts. I know that's memory ready line was a little bit erratic, and I think that was to do with this. I'll show it on the next page where I thought that, but the interrupts weren't quite right as well, especially the one I thought looked the weirdest was pin 2 here, the non-maskable interrupt, NMI. Many fruit machines of this era take an unregulated line off the power supply or a 50 Hz signal off the power AC signal off the power supply, and they feed it into a logic circuit or whatever and generate an interrupt from it. Now, on some systems, that's just to detect main failure, but in others, Maygay, Barcus and a couple of others, it's actually used as part of the timing. I believe on Maygay it's used as a sync signal like you do in video games. It's to use the frame sync so that reels, lamps and display, whatever, they change position at a rate you can see and at a steady rate. So, for example, I think the NMI is used to make sure like the reels rotate at a specific speed to save you having to write the code and software to control the speed. You control it with an interrupt. I believe they do the same with the lamps. Now, I had the 100 Hz signal coming in. I know I say 50 Hz signal coming in. It is 50. It's actually a 100 Hz unregulated signal. And basically, the reason for that is when you rectify a 50 Hz signal, every time the signal's supposed to go negative, a rectifier puts it up here. So you end up with a bouncing signal. Sorry, if you can follow my. Hold on a minute. Right, we'll use a scrap of paper here. A 50 Hz AC signal looks like this. Okay. You've got a positive phase and a negative phase. Now when you rectify that, every time it goes negative, it puts it up top, like so. Excuse my drawing, it's bloody terrible. But what happens is you end up with twice as many peaks and troughs, because every one of these signals has been put up there. So a 50 Hz AC signal becomes, when you put it through a half-wave rectifier, which is what the Maygay power supply does. No, this is just scribbles. You end up with a 100 Hz pulse. Confused, you bloody well be. That 100 Hz pulse is called 12 VMM, but what that actually means is 12 V unregulated. So you have a 100 Hz 12 volt pulse coming through here. It gets fed into Q2 here and then fed into pin 9 U7. And as long as the signal's coming up from here, you'll get a pulse here. I was getting the... I'm not explaining this very well, it's late at night, I'm trying to be brief and blunt. I was getting the correct signal here, in pin 10. I got my 100 Hz pulse here. Scope wasn't telling me I was getting a 100 Hz pulse there, it was erratic. Now, I don't know exactly what the rate should be coming out of there, but it just didn't look right on the scope. I wasn't getting clean pulses out of pin 8, it didn't look right at all. And you would think that would just cause the board to go into reset. It would put it on there, LED 4. No 12 V unregulated. I believe the very first time I fired this board up I saw that. I'm not sure, I can't remember. But I've replaced this. So we'll just stay in darkness for a minute. You notice the difference? Watch. Visibly faster. Now watch this. That's how it's supposed to look. And I checked my M ready line, pin 9 U24, and I checked the VMM at pin 7, at U7. And it's rock solid. So, I think the root cause of all this might well have been that U41 being shorted to 12 volt, because that was loading down that U40. And U40 has some control signals that are pulled from U24, which I've replaced. And if there was an issue with the 12 volt or something, I don't know. Maybe somebody managed to plug the power supply in wrong. Maybe plugged it in a pin off. Shouldn't be able to do it, but some connection with the keyway was off or something. But the moral of the story is it's definitely fixed. It's solid this time. Ooh, you see that wee orb that went past? Interesting. You look back in the camera footage and see where that came from. Bit of dust maybe? Yeah, but it's fixed. You can see those parts there on that white card. They're actually good. They're getting kept. Great Escape ROMs hanging out over there, because obviously this is running Gladiators. So, payouts have been tested. It takes coins. Can't fully test lamps. There's another up there. Interesting when you do camera footage in the darkness that you get these occurrences. Can't test lamps. I've tested the outputs of U3 and I can see activity though, so I'm confident they're probably working. And lamps and stuff can be fixed when the board gets returned. So, that's it for this one. Didn't have to replace the CPU. I was almost leaning towards that before I started thinking about U7 and main sync. And upwards and onwards for the next one. I need to find the U40, won't I? Yeah. Alright. Bye bye for now.